7, and it's minus 19.
You're listening to Blue Sky on CBC Radio 1, 102.5 FM in Regina, 94.1 FM in Saskatoon, and 540 AM across Saskatchewan.
Oh, Saskatchewan has a big case of curling fever right now. Regina is hosting the Montana's Brier. It is the 6th time this province has hosted the event. The last time it was here was back in 2018. Won by Brad Gushu's Team Canada rink, and this year, Gushu in the hunt to win it. But so is Mike McEwen and Team Saskatchewan. The rink from Saskatoon has put on an impressive performance so far, but it's not just the pros who are swept up in the excitement. 13-year-old Emerson Rompf curls in Regina and was selected as a rising star on Sunday, which meant he got to spend some time on ice level with Team BC at the Brier. Here's his mom, Carlene, asking him about the experience and his love of the sport.
What do you like most about curling?
The fact is that you get to slide, not skate, and also rocks, like a rock like you find on a beach, just make it into a curling rock, right? With colors, honestly.
Who are your favorite curlers?
The Cooey brothers, because it's like, hey neighbor, how are you doing? And then the other one says hello neighbor, hey little brother, one of battle against each other? Sure thing. Hey, but the older one wins.
What was it like to be named a future star at the Brier?
Felt like I won a championship.
What did you get to do as a future star?
Get to sit into the players' bench where the Pats normally get to go be on ice level, get to be met with the team, heck, even with the covers, like covers with the logos and your picture on the Jumbotron.
And do you have a goal as a curler when you get older?
Become Canada's leading star curler.
That was 13-year-old Emerson Rompf with his mom, Carlene. He curls with Curl Regina. He's part of the youth league that plays on Sundays. Curl Regina has a whole bunch of programs for kids, starting as young as 5 years old. And today on the show, we'll be joined by curlers across this province. What unites them all is a love of this game, and we want to hear from you. What role does curling play in your life? Give us a call, 1-800-716-2221, or email bluesky@cbc.ca. So when it comes to talking about curling, nobody does it better than Devin Heroux. Are you okay with the accolades, my friend?
I am very good with that.
He's usually covering sports events all over the world. Where did you just get back from?
What day is it, Sam? Portugal and Scotland, so the birthplace of curling. Seems fitting.
Yes, but this week you're back home in Saskatchewan. Yeah. You're from Saskatoon, taking in the Montana's Brier. You're here with us for the full hour.
The full hour.
To talk curling. What gets you so excited about this game?
Well, first of all, let me just say, hearing from Emerson reminded me of the 2000 Brier in Saskatoon when I got to go to the SaskTel Centre, Sask Place back then, and watch the Brier and the magic of it for the first time. And so for him to be right there, ice level, to feel the electricity of that event, it reminded me, Sam, of all those years ago when I fell in love.
Were you a rising star?
I wasn't. I still am not a rising star. I'm just a wannabe. And I get a front row seat to these prolific curlers. Listen, we're talking about the game. We're talking about the roaring game that unites us all in this province, especially curling, the official provincial sport. Across the frozen tundra, curling rinks have been the gathering place for a really long time. To be back here, to be covering the Brier with Saskatchewan playing as well as they are, is pretty special.
Is it more fun for you when you get to come home and do it?
It is. It's stressful, though, because I'm not objective. as I speak to you in my green and white bunny hug, Sam. It is stressful. My family's going to be coming down tomorrow, so to be able to see them in a place that I love at a curling rink is really special.
Will they actually get to see you, though?
Probably not. I've warned them. I've managed expectations that I will be running around the rink, keeping track of all the games. But this is as good as it gets, and we are in the heartland of curling in this country, no doubt.
And Saskatchewan has a dog in the hunt.
You know, it has been a while, although Dunstone really put Saskatchewan on the map, and we can get into this whole idea of Manitoba skips coming to wear the green. Of course, Mike McEwen doing that as well. But the fact remains, they are in the green and white, and Mike McEwen and the team out of the Nutana Curling Club in Saskatoon playing so well, so in control in the 90% range throughout all of this. One more game in the round robin and then into the playoffs. It's going to be electric here. Fans are cautious right now because we're in Saskatchewan and everything can change in a heartbeat, but it's going to be electric.
What percentage do you need to be at, do you think, to win a Brier?
It's a good question. And when you have Brad Gushu and Brendan Botcher and these guys in the hunt, you have to be in that 90% range. I'll never forget Brad Gushu telling me at the 2017 Brier in St. John's that when you get to this level of curling, on any given day, a skip can curl 95%, and you might curl 90%, and that might be good enough. That's what we're talking about. The margins are so slim at this point of the Brier, and Mike McEwen has to continue to stay in that 90 to 95% range. That's pretty perfect curling, and that's what he's going to need to win his first Brier title.
We also talk a lot about 1980.
Too much. They tell me, Sam, it was a wonderful time because I wasn't born.
I wasn't either.
And Mike McEwen, of course, was born in 1980, the 44-year-old
So he was
skip.
around. He remembers.
A couple of months old, I believe. And so this is I'm sick of it. I really am. You know, every time we get to this point of the Brier and Saskatchewan is in it, Rick Folk is brought back up. And I was talking to Daryl Davis, of course, a great Leader Post reporter, and he said, you know, when we were sort of in that 20-year range, we would always ask Rick Folk, is this the year? We don't even call Rick Folk anymore. That's how long it's been. 44 years is enough.
What does a competition like this mean for curling in the province? Because we have curling year-round. Like, curling doesn't stop or start just because the Brier's in town.
But it puts a spotlight on the sport. And haven't we been lucky in this province to have elite curling at this level? It was only in 2018 that the Brier was last here in Regina, and Guju won it then. I wasn't able to get home. I was in Pyeongchang covering Olympic curling. But it's so wonderful, Sam, that we're able to... Here's the thing. Curling Canada understands that if you bring the Scotties or the Brier or a World Championship,
We'll get to that.
Stay tuned. To this area of the country, you're going to have big crowds. At a time when we've seen attendance is slipping, now we're seeing it come back to places where you're going to be guaranteed a strong, knowledgeable curling crowd. That's what the curlers tell me here. They love playing in front of Saskatchewan fans because they know a great shot. They know a big miss. The oohs and ahs just ramp up the atmosphere.
They hit, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the world stage.
Right.
There was a not-so-well-kept secret that may have gotten leaked last night at the Brier Patch.
Well, all you have to do is go. I've always said, go to the patch and you'll get all the secrets because people are well lubricated at the patch. And that seems to be what happened last night when the MC for Curling Canada let it slip. So the worst kept secret in the province is that the 2025, next year, Men's World Curling Championship is going to be held just down the highway at Mosaic Place in Moose Jaw. So, Sam, this is incredible because you have the Brier this year, the Men's World Curling Championship next year, and it is a big stakes, right? Because this World Championship will go towards Olympic qualification. So the stakes have never been higher. Canada is in this dogfight now to get back on top of the granite world. So this is going to be big news. It'll be made official tomorrow, Curling Canada holding a fancy press conference, but I was also able to get confirmation from World Curling that, yes, indeed, the Men's World Curling Championship coming to Moose Jaw. So curling fans are going to be treated to the best curling in the world once again next winter.
Amazing. We have someone on the phone already to tell us about what curling means to them. So let's go to Jordan in Yorkton. Hi, Jordan.
Hi there. Great to talk to you guys today. And Devin, been a long-time follower of you on Twitter. I'm always in your comment section, so thanks for replying and liking and all the rest of it. It's good to have you here in Regina for the Brier.
Thank you.
But, curling means a lot. I loved playing it in high school. I was so pumped when I saw the Knapp brothers in the Brier last year, different from the Marsh brothers, who are, of course, in this year. But when the Knapp brothers made it, I was kind of giddy and excited because I got my butt kicked to them every single year in high school, and I was so giddy when I'm like, hey, those guys played me, and let's just leave the results hiding a little bit. But so that was really, really fun to see them. And I just love how there's so many of those stories in Saskatchewan. Like, I was reading the book that was written about Sandra Schmerler by Perry Lefko, and a name caught my eye. I'm like, to my sister, I'm like, didn't you curl with her daughter? And she's like, yeah, that was me. So it's just so neat how there's all these different stories. And I'm not too bothered about the whole skipped or team streak, if you will, because we've had lots of Saskatchewan curlers do such great things, maybe playing in another province. I mean, you look at Benny Hebert winning with Cooey and Martin. Don Walchuk did it with Martin as well. Mark Dacey won in Saskatoon back in 2004. So it just gets me so excited to see this team do so well. And I mean, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. We might still have a Saskatchewan connection as the winners. So it's all in good fun. And I think TSN recognizes how big of a deal it's given how so often we see their games on the TV. And it was exciting as well to see a young up and coming team on the women's side, and Skylar Ackerman do a very great job in her first ever Scotties debut. So love a show dedicated to this. Look forward to listening to the rest of it.
Thanks so much for calling, Jordan. And thanks for giving the women credit, too. I know as we're talking about the Brier, it's obviously we're talking about men's curling, but there are a lot of women doing great things in the curling world. Also, to talk about Saskatchewan connections, Ben Hebert and I went to Riffle together.
Of course.
We're like a year apart.
Of course.
It is 5, very, very close degrees of separation.
And Jordan, so good to hear from you, because isn't that one of the things I love about this sport is, to his point about, having curled against the Knapp brothers, I curled against the Marsh brothers on Team McEwen and lost at provincials way back in the day. And this is a sport where you literally can be at a beer league or a league at a curling club across the province against Olympic champions or Olympians. Like, that is what we're talking about. I've always said that curling might be the most accessible sport in terms of player-fan association. Yes. And curlers are always so giving of their time, signing autographs, going to the patch. You can have a wonderful conversation about the game. So I think that just really binds a connection to the sport when the best in the world you can beat at your local curling club.
And if you don't, you just go have a drink afterwards and pretend it didn't happen.
Exactly.
Talking about curling, though, one of the things that really brings the community together is the volunteers.
Yes.
And even if you are not among the most elite curlers in the world, you're often rubbing shoulders with them at the local curling rinks. And a lot of those people are what make events like this so successful. And I would say if you love curling, then Steve Turner is living his best life with a dream job, because he's the executive director of Curl Sask, and he's joining us now. Steve, thanks for making time for us today.
Thank you for having me.
This must be such a great week for you.
Oh, you have no idea. You're living the dream, that's putting it mildly.
Well, tell me about it.
Oh, well, this has been fantastic. And I know opening the show, you had mentioned about 1980 and that time frame. And, we looked at that too. And of course, sure, we're tired of talking about that too. But we thought as an organization, we'd take matters into our own hands a little bit. It's not well known that in 1980, when we declared our men's provincial champion, we did that in Saskatoon. Now, that was the last time that we had hosted a men's provincial event in Saskatoon. So we thought, well, maybe we could have a little bit of an influence on that. So our Team McEwen was crowned in Saskatoon for the first time, a men's provincial champion crowned since 1980. So call it superstitious, call it luck, but we're pretty happy with where we're sitting right now.
Steve, whatever you have to do, and wonderful to be talking to you. Congratulations on a really wonderful Saskatchewan tankard. The Nutana Curling Club looked packed. It looked so well decorated. Of course, it's about 10 minutes from my parents' home in Saskatoon, so I know the club well. And I wonder about having it in the bigger city, because I know you've gone into a lot of the towns and different locations. I wonder sort of the response you got to that and what you heard, because everything I saw is that it was met with great approval.
It really was. It's unfortunate that we only have one per year, because there are so many communities that would love to host it and so many that would be great hosts. We just can't get there all in the same year. So the lineup's quite long, and we're excited to continue to share this great event all throughout the province of Saskatchewan.
Steve, volunteers are what really hold this together right across the province, not just in the big cities. We're talking about the state of curling in Saskatchewan, not just in Saskatoon or Regina, or even Moose Jaw with big events coming. But how are we looking in the small towns and the rinks across the province?
You know, it's an exciting time right now. We've all talked about over these last few years the impact of COVID and what that did, and slowed some things down in some cases and accelerated some concerns in others. But to see this starting to come together, to see the revitalization of curling clubs across this province, to see the volunteers that are coming out, whether it's our provincial Scotties or our provincial tankard, or right here in Regina at this event, there is a thirst for people to be involved in this, and it's a really exciting time.
I was just going to jump in, including a new curling club going up in Shell Lake, Saskatchewan, which is where I play every year, Steve. So that's exciting. I wonder about the front on infrastructure. You know, curling clubs are not being built across the country. In fact, I know the Granite Curling Club. You know it well. Downtown Saskatoon, now a pickleball haven. So where are we at in terms of the health of curling clubs and aging infrastructure in this province?
Yeah, that's probably the biggest concern. And when I mentioned about a COVID shutdown sort of accelerating some of those concerns, that's a big one. So we're unfortunately long from the days of every curling club in this province being packed to the rafters and full every night. But we're starting to work our way back there. But we're also trying to help as an organization and working with Curling Canada to have all of these curling clubs and curling centers look at their operation as more of a business, and trying to get creative. And we need to attract new people to the sport, new people to those community rinks, to just continue to have them grow and prosper and be vibrant. And in doing so, that will enable any issues with an infrastructure, large capital costs. It'll make it easier to be able to handle those.
Steve, before we let you go, I want to talk to you about, you talk about growing the sport. And we know a lot of us came to the sport because of our grandparents and then through our parents and everything else. How are we reaching the youngest kids and bringing them into curling to ensure that this thing we've built in Saskatchewan continues long after we're gone?
Absolutely. And that is a key. And there's a few different things that we're doing. We've partnered with Viterra and offer different curling clinics and our summer camp every year, which we fill up every year. It's really an exciting time. And now going back to what we were talking about earlier, we're partnering with all these different curling communities and rinks and help them to give them the tools to be able to host and welcome in school-age kids and other kids to experience curling for the first time. And we know it's such a fun sport and it's such a welcoming community that as soon as we get people, whether it's youth or it's adults, as soon as they come through that door and see firsthand the curling community and especially curling in Saskatchewan, we know they're going to love it, and that we'll have curlers for life.
Steve, thank you so much for making time for us. I know this is such a busy time for you. Thanks for everything you're doing to grow the sport and host these amazing events. And we'll talk to you again soon, I'm sure.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
That's Steve Turner. He's the executive director of Curl Sask. If you're wondering, we're actually live streaming this show right now. So if you go to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube page, you can watch Devin and I in our glory in studio, but also our guests have been joining us through Google Meet. So you'll also be able to see the people that we're having these conversations with. We do want to hear from you. We want to know what you think about the state of curling in Saskatchewan, the role curling plays in your life. You can call 1-800-716-2221 or email bluesky@cbc.ca to join the conversation. But it is 12:30, and so we're going to pause. We're going to have a little conversation. David Shield is standing by for a little news update. David?
Hi, Sam. The province's teachers say they plan to escalate job action over classroom complexity. As well, the Saskatchewan Teachers Federation is accusing the provincial government on making backroom deals with the Provincial School Boards Association on the issue. While speaking to reporters, Premier Scott Moe seemed to confirm talks between the two groups are ongoing. A new indoor swimming facility in Regina is one step closer to becoming a reality. The mayor, premier, and federal representatives have announced $128 million for the project. The city says the replacement for the aging Lawson Aquatic Facility will be heated geothermally. And it's a big honor for a veteran women's basketball coach at the University of Saskatchewan. Lisa Tomaitis has been named the top coach in U Sports women's basketball. The U of S Huskies played their first game at the Canadian University Championships tonight against the University of Calgary Dinos. And I'll have a full newscast for you coming up at 1 o'clock.
David, before you run away,
Yeah.
does curling have any impact on your life? Are you a watcher, a participator, an appreciator?
Not really, no.
You know what?
I got to be honest. I know I'm in a big curling province, but no, I mean, it's just never really, caught hold with me. I mean, look, I appreciate how
I've made this so uncomfortable.
Is in Saskatchewan. Well, maybe, but anyway, no, not really.
You know what? Next time Devin is in Saskatoon, you're going to end up curling whether you like it or not.
David, I'm calling you as soon as forget the call-in show. I'm calling you after the show, and we're getting you to the curling rink.
Thanks, David.
It's never too late to start.
All right, bye.
Bye. That's David Shield with the CBC News, and apparently curling lessons from the one and only Devin Heroux. I didn't know he was going to say no, or I would have never asked.
No, but I think it's okay, because here's the thing. Everybody is always looking for a pathway to curling, and it's incredible in my travels around the world, the conversations I have about the sport. Mm-hmm. Just in Scotland, I was in Japan at the Kurosawa Curling Classic, and people find this sport at all different ages in life. Mm-hmm. And all you need is that little spark.
And the right people. You really do have to play with the right people.
Exactly.
If you're serious, you need to play with the serious people. If you're just in it for fun, you need to play with the fun people.
And to that point, Sam, it's an excellent point. Steve Turner with Curl Sask, they have to get creative about it. We've seen the professionalization of curling really put people on the fringes of the sport, that if you aren't all in, there isn't room for you. Well, guess what? There's room for you in this sport. And there are a lot of leagues that are sold out across this country. I'm in the West End of Toronto, where you can't get curling ice. That's obviously a little bit of a supply-demand issue, but it's a place for community. That's what this sport has always been for me. It isn't about getting to the Olympics. Only the pie crust of curlers, the elite, are going to get to that level. Outside of that, we have to reimagine what this sport means to people, and that is community. That's at the heart of curling.
The last time I went curling, it was earlier in the show. We talked about Carlene and Emerson.
Sure.
It was Carlene's dad's birthday party, and I had such an epic wipeout while sweeping that they banged on the glass from above while I laid there, and I could feel my bare back on the ice. I fell so hard. And I was watching the end of the Saskatchewan draw last night.
Right.
And they're so confidently sliding down the ice on one leg, other leg. And I don't know how they learned to do that, but I have such an appreciation just for their ability to not fall down on that surface.
It. I mean, they live on the ice.
I don't know that helps. I live in Saskatchewan and I still fall down.
You're right. You've got to get those penguin feet, right?
Yes.
You've got to really brace yourself.
Yes. But anyways, we're not here to talk about my curling inadequacies or your curling achievements. We're here to talk about the state of curling in Saskatchewan as the Brier continues at the Brand Centre in Regina. We are live streaming on the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. If you missed it, you can catch us later on the CBC Listen app, or it'll exist on YouTube as well. Now, to say Marie Wright loves curling is an understatement. The Moose Jaw wheelchair curler fell in love with the sport about 15 years ago. Now she's curling 6 days a week. Marie is a member of Saskatchewan's competitive wheelchair curling teams, and she joins us now from Moose Jaw, which is Moose Jaw's real popular in the last 24 hours. Marie, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great.
So there are likely some listeners and some viewers on YouTube who are wondering, how does wheelchair curling work? They may not be aware that it exists. So can you walk me through how this works? I know this is also great for people who maybe aren't in a wheelchair.
Yes. For wheelchair curling is pretty much the same as the regular curling, except for we deliver with a stick and we have to release the rock before the hog line. But there's absolutely no sweeping. So our shots have to be pretty accurate, online, right weight, or you're not making the shot.
And a lot of upper body strength, I'm hearing.
Yes, we have to train in the gym probably 2 or 3 times a week.
So what kind of training do you do for that? I imagine it's very different than what one would consider traditional curling training.
The most training that you do in the gym is the weights, just like arm strength.
And let me just say hello, Marie. And it's
It's good to hear you.
It's really wonderful to be talking to you. Marie will be humble to a fault and deflect any praise. So let me tell our listeners that Marie Wright is a Paralympic bronze medalist, a mother of, I believe, 4 daughters, if I'm not mistaking that, Marie. A super woman, and someone who I got to know in Pyeongchang at the Paralympics in 2018, which is a career highlight for me. Marie Wright continues to blaze a new trail in wheelchair curling. We should also mention that the Canadian wheelchair team over in Pyeongchang, this is a full circle moment, Marie Wright, has clinched a playoff spot at the World Championships. And I'm sure, Marie, you're following that as closely as I am. It's so wonderful to see you still involved in the sport. Marie, can you tell us about mixed doubles wheelchair curling? Because that has been added to the Paralympic program, and you are deeply involved in that as well.
Yes, mixed doubles. It's quite a hard sport. It's almost harder than the fours. Everything is to the middle of the ice, but it's a lot of fun. There's just 2 of you out there, so you really rely on each other, and it's a lot to have a teammate that you can really have fun with and trust in.
Marie, this is an opportunity with an audience to recruit. We're always looking for more wheelchair curlers in this country. The pathway to the ice is very different for so many different reasons. So why would you say somebody in a wheelchair should get out to the curling rink, and what opportunities exist?
There's a lot of opportunities out there. We actually got 4 new curlers in Saskatchewan this year to come out. I think the reason they should come out is it gives you a purpose. It's a very social game. You make friends for life, and it gives you a reason when you feel like maybe you're stuck in a rut, that you just get out there and get involved with your community.
How did you find your way to curling, Marie? What was that path like for you, from just basic curling to elite curling?
Well, I started in 2009. Our coach, Lorraine Arguin, who we still have up until the end of this year, they twisted my arm to come out, because in wheelchair curling, you have to have a member of the opposite sex on the ice.
Oh, this is like slow pitch.
Yes, and they didn't have any females. So guess who got picked?
Yeah.
But the very first time I went on the ice, I absolutely fell in love with it. And then they brought the Canadian national program into Regina a couple of years after I started. And I really looked up to Ina Forrest and Sonia Godet, who at that time were on the team, and thought one day I'm going to aspire to be like them. And about 2014, I am invited to a camp and did very well at the camp. And just from there, it just went on, and it's been amazing.
And thank goodness you found the sport because our country and our wheelchair curling program is better for you in it, Marie. You are such a testament to resilience and perseverance. And like I said, a career highlight for me. You know, I'll never forget Marie's daughters there watching their mom who throughout their lives.
You're going to make me cry.
It made me cry, and it might have had all of us crying in Pyeongchang. I'll never forget Marie telling me in Pyeongchang that she never believed or never thought or could have imagined being on a podium in her life. And there she was with the daughters she raised in Pyeongchang on the podium for Canada. It gives me goosebumps to this day. And Marie, you touch so many Canadians with your story and with your strength, and you continue to do that. So thank you.
Thank you, Devin. It was an amazing time.
I have a very serious question for you, Marie.
Okay.
What did you do with your medal?
Actually, I still have it. I carry it with me a lot. In fact, you want to hear a cool story about it?
Always.
Okay, so I curl in the league, cash league here in Moose Jaw on Wednesday night. So last night I curl with Jared Guterite. So I don't know if everybody knows who Marcy Guterite is. Marcy came out last night and curled with us.
Wow.
She brought her gold Olympic medal. I took my bronze Paralympic medal and we got a picture together. It was amazing.
That's a solid flex.
Wow. Wow.
Okay. I understand you came to see the Brier.
Yes.
You're watching very closely.
Yes.
Before we let you go, what's your prediction?
Yes.
Well, I think my prediction is going to be Brad Gushu and Mike McEwen. And I just want to say, you talked, Devin, about these Manitoba skips. I want them to know they look far better in green.
Amen. Amen. I agree, Marie.
Well, thank you so much for your time and everything you've done for the sport. And you know what? I bet you we'll see you in Moose Jaw next year.
Yes, for sure you will.
Marie,
Can't
thanks
wait.
so
It'll be
much.
exciting.
Thanks so much for your time. Marie Wright, a member of one of Saskatchewan's competitive wheelchair curling teams, but of course, so much more than that.
So much more. 2018 Paralympic bronze medalist, continues to recruit and raise the level, and just really outstanding. I love that prediction from Marie, a Gushu McEwen final Sunday night at the Brandt Centre. That would be electric.
That gives me anxiety in advance
Me too.
of every shot.
Yes.
Every shot.
Yes.
Okay, let's keep things rolling. We do have an email from Robin. Robin writes, the show today is very interesting. All this talk of curling has me nostalgic. There is something about curling,
Big
even
time.
in present tense,
Yep.
that makes everyone nostalgic.
Yes.
Robin says, the first curling rink I ever stepped foot into was in the hamlet of Bellevue, just west of Spiritwood on Highway 3. The rink was only one sheet of ice. The spectators' lounge, and I use those terms loosely, was heated by an old wood stove and was incredibly drafty. A highlight of the season was the children's bonspiel. Lunch was often spaghetti, a delicacy that we seldom had at home. It was an opportunity to gather, to learn to curl, but more importantly, to learn about the importance of community and have a feeling of belonging. Hopefully more of these clubs will sprout up in Saskatchewan and more kids will feel as though they truly belong in their communities. Thanks, Blue Sky.
Oh, that makes me emotional. That really does. That is it.
That sums it up very well in
Yep.
the state of curling in Saskatchewan.
A one-sheeter with a wood stove, and that's where you gathered, and a sense of belonging.
You're also not warm. That is also not warm.
You're not. The natural ice curling clubs in Saskatchewan toughens you up.
Yes, as does living here in the winter.
Yes.
That's just part of our prairie pride.
Right.
Keeping curling rinks alive in small communities like these one stove situations is really important and a labor of love. The rink in Lampman is 100 years old and
Wow.
still going strong. In fact, 4 sheets of ice will play host to the Provincial High School Mixed Curling Championships. Dawn Wilcock is helping, is helping organize that. She's the vice principal there and the coach of the hometown reigning champs for Lampman. Dawn, thanks for being here.
Hello.
I'm
Hi,
sorry
thank
for butchering your last name. That is a specialty of mine.
That's okay. It happens quite often, but very excited to have this opportunity to speak. Hello.
Tell us how things are looking for the tournament this weekend.
Well, we're in the final stage of prepping, so we're just getting the ice prepped here, so we make sure that it's in its best shape possible. We do a bit of decorating. We are offering a hot meal for our spectators Friday night. We have our full rink kitchen, but we also offer a hot meal, so we're excited. Our rink will be packed because we have 8 teams coming from around the province, and with that they bring family and friends, plus our community itself will support our local kids.
Dawn, wonderful to be talking to you, and thank you. I can hear the passion in your voice about this, and you're just one of many people across this province that continue to elevate curling. Can you tell us about the rink in Lampman?
Well, it's 100 years old, the club, and we have our regular curling 2 nights a week. We have our youth curling 1 night a week. We have our school curling twice a week where we practice. So we have lots of activity going on, and it's just excitement. And we're building our young curlers from grade 4 and up. We've also offered programs before as young as 4-year-olds, our jam can curlers. We've introduced Sunday programs as well. So we're thriving. Our numbers are small, but we're developing our program, and numbers are coming up. Yeah.
When you say jam can, you actually mean jam cans, don't you?
They are traditionally that's what it would be. It is the junior rocks. They're half the weight of our full size. But yes, we call it the jam can curling.
Dawn, this is a family affair for you.
It very much is.
Not just your community, but your family. Tell us about your family connections, please.
Oh my goodness. Well, my parents were curlers. My husband's parents were curlers. My siblings are curlers, and now it's moved into our children, and it's also moved into nieces and nephews as well. So our curling rink consists of my nephew Matthias, who you'll speak to today, my daughter Sydney, who's also grade 12. You can speak with her today. And then we have Jamie Johnson, who her parents are avid curlers. Ty Farnsworth has grown up at the curling rink and hockey rink. Jaden Fleck, his parents are all curlers. Just generations of curling. Our kids grew up, you talk about a rink rat, there are curling rink rats.
Okay, Dawn, I would love to talk to the kids. Can you talk to the kids?
They are right here. Here's Matthias.
Hi, Matthias.
Hello.
How old are you?
I'm 17.
When did you start curling?
I think I was 4 or 5 years old.
Amazing. Matthias, obviously you're blazing your own trail, and are you taking tips from the pros at the Brier? Have you been glued to the TV and watching it all?
Well, I was more watching the Scotties, actually. I haven't been following the Brier, but yeah, I've been watching them lots, actually.
What did you make of the Scotties? That was pretty incredible. Rachel Homan was on a whole different level, but what did you like from the Scotties?
Oh, just watching their strategy and like how they play stuff and trying to think of shots that I'd do in situations. I think that's what I like to do when I watch.
Awesome.
Now, I understand Sydney is with you as well, correct?
Yes, she is.
Can I talk to Sydney too?
Yes, for sure.
I just got to pass the phone around. This is like an old party line.
Hello.
Hi, Sydney. So
Hi.
I understand you and Maddie are both in grade 12.
Yes.
And you've been curling together since you were in grade 9.
Yes, we have.
But when did you start curling?
Oh, I think I was around 4 years old also. Yeah, pretty young.
Starts young, Sydney. What do you love about the sport?
I like playing as a team, actually, and just kind of coming together, and I don't know, there's just a lot about it. The strategy to it, that's pretty fun to me.
Could you imagine not curling? Like we hear from Dawn about the family connections, the Lampman connections, how curling is such a big part of the community. Do you think that it would have even been an option for you to not curl?
No, I don't think so. I think my parents would have put me in it and probably had me stick with it for sure, yeah.
Sydney, in terms of what the curling club means to the community and means to you, you talk about a team, the strategy, a sense of belonging. Can you tell us a little bit about what it means to be able to gather, to have a place to gather, and to know that you're going to see your friends, you're going to see your family, that this is a sport that allows you to come together?
Yeah, it just it brings us together. Like it's really nice, the curling club. Like there's just so many of us that we come together and it's just like, gotta think now.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a place where you have a built-in place to connect, and it sounds as though it's a big part of your life.
Yeah, there's like people all ages, so it really does bring people together and let us communicate with each other in curling ways and just about our lives and stuff. It brings a lot of people together.
What advice would you have for other high schoolers who maybe haven't found a sport, maybe haven't found a community, but also have never put a slider on, as someone who's terrified of them? What advice would you have for someone who wants to try it but isn't starting out at 4 years old?
I think you just got to go for it.
Amen.
It will take a little bit to pick it up, but once you got it and you kind of know what you need to do and how to do it, it'll come together and it'll end up being good. Even if you're scared, you'll fall a few times, but you pick yourself right back up and keep going.
Words to live by on the curling ice. Outstanding, Sydney.
What do you plan to do after grade 12?
I plan to go to university in Saskatoon, actually, for hoping education.
Good for you. And do you want to put Maddie back on the phone just before we wrap things up with you guys?
Yep. Here, I'll give them to you. Hello.
Hi. What are you planning to do after grade 12?
I got accepted into kinesiology in Saskatoon.
Good for you. Are you going to continue curling?
That's the plan, yeah.
Devin looked almost afraid that you were going to say no.
I was holding my breath over here, Maddie. So right answer. You had the right answer, and that's great. And we're wishing you all the success, you and Sydney, both in life, in school, and on the curling sheet.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Don Willick is the vice principal at Lampman. That's where we started. Maddie Fornwald is the skip. He's her nephew. And third is Sydney Willick, again, both in grade 12, both curling together since grade 9. If you have a big curling event in your community that you maybe want to plug, we've got some time. Give us a call, 1-800-716-2221. We can keep a little running list that we can mention at the end of the show. Jill commented on the CBC live stream. We are streaming live on the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. She says, watching from St. John's, Newfoundland, it's interesting to hear about curling from another province's perspective. And though I can't cheer against Gushu, I would love McEwen to win the whole thing.
And let me jump in. I know Jill. I met Jill at the St. John's Brier in 2017.
Of course you did.
And continue to talk to Jill to this day. And let me just say, the 2017 Brier in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador was an exceptional Brier. Talked about today as perhaps one of the best ever. And, of course, the hometown team won the Brier there. I was talking with Colleen Jones, the great Colleen Jones, who's also here. We couldn't actually recall the last time a hometown team won the Brier. And so perhaps the stars are aligning.
It might be time.
And let me just say, Sam, if there are two places in this country that I've covered curling with exceptional parallels about what it means to a people in place, it's in Newfoundland and Labrador and Saskatchewan. They just get it. There's a higher calling that comes with the sport. And there's just a connection to the game and to the curlers that runs so deep. And so I love that Jill commented about that, because it could be Gushu and McEwen in the final. And I think...
but then who do you choose?
Well...
I know who we choose.
Right. And the people in Newfoundland and Labrador, I've covered Gushu for a long, long time. They know how much I appreciate him and his team.
He's also won a lot.
He has.
I mean...
It's our turn.
I mean,
I don't know if we can say our in a journalistic sense.
In the royal we, on behalf of the province.
Right.
I will always cheer for Saskatchewan. I will always cheer for the Riders. I will always cheer for the Rush because I grew up here. And there is something about Saskatchewan people who grew up here, who choose to stay here. I'm one of them. You do. You come back and forth a lot. There's something about cheering for your hometown team, even when they're not good. But in this case, MacEwan's doing great.
They're good. They got a big game this afternoon at 2 p.m. local time against Quebec. Mike MacEwan wants to keep this thing rolling. He said last night after his win to lock up first place, we have to be strong. We have to set the tone and send a message. We're for real. That starts with a victory over Quebec this afternoon. If they can get that, then they'll play in that 1-2 qualifying game. I think the nice thing for this entire Brier is the fact that we know Saskatchewan is going to be playing at least until Saturday because of the first place in Pool B. That's exceptional. That's all you could ask for an organizing perspective, is that you're going to have the home team being competitive late into this thing. It would have been really disappointed if it would have ended right here today. That's not the case. I really think we could see this team playing on Championship Sunday.
Okay, we do have about 4 minutes left in this show, but we have Michael on the line in Regina, and he... I know that you're a broadcaster, Devin, but apparently he would like to ask you a question about technique.
Okay.
So, Michael and Regina, welcome to the show.
Okay.
Hi, Devin. I love your work on X, and I know you're also a great curler. So that's why I have a technical question. I hope you don't mind me going through the weeds.
I hope I can answer it.
I just hope we can do it quickly. We've only got like 3 minutes.
Okay. I've been out of the country for about 20 years, and I haven't seen the evolution of the game. But when I threw rocks 100 years ago, we would start our turn from the hack. But now I see all the curlers doing their turn from the hog line. And I'm just wondering, have you picked up on that? And what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, it's a good question, Michael, and this is how I'm going to attempt to answer it real quickly, is because we have seen ice conditions evolve, the game evolve, the sweeping techniques evolve. I think what we're seeing, that release you're talking about is it's almost like a flick of a wrist right at the end, right before the hog line. And I think what we're seeing, a lot of the teams, the rotation, you know how many times you see that rock spin. We're seeing it more rotation now in the game to grab the curl, get 5 or 6 feet of curl, but also with the sweeping technique, being able to adapt the rock a lot more. So I think that's the way I would attempt to answer that you're seeing that last pop right at the end on the out turn or the in turn to get some late finish once you pass the hog line to the house at the other end of the ice. And I think a lot of teams have gone to that technique.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if it was the ice or something else.
I think it's all of it. Yeah, I think the game has gotten so good. The sweepers and their technique has evolved so much. Ice conditions have evolved so much, and I think the players feel a lot more comfortable with that last sort of quick rotation at the end to get the most out of their shots today.
Yeah. I just remember getting a broom and a bum for doing that.
well, back then that would have been poor form, but the game has certainly evolved, and I do miss the thwapping of the corn brooms on the ice, no doubt, Michael.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot.
Real good.
You take care now.
You too.
Thank you so much for your call, Michael, and to everyone who's participated in the conversation today. I'm impressed that you had a full answer ready for that. Is there anything you don't know about curling, Devin? I'm
sure there is, and I'm sure I'll find out. The thing, math is hard for me, and we're getting to the part of the Brier where there are all of these different scenarios. This is when the fans really love it, because we're going into the last 2 draws. There are so many different scenarios, Sam, that could play out here. It is dramatic. It's going to be dramatic tonight in the final round robin to figure out who the teams are. I can quickly give an update that we know that Team Carruthers and Team Botcher have officially clinched a playoff spot. Mm-hmm. So that is confirmed. Team Saskatchewan confirmed. 3 more teams to fill that playoff picture as we head down the stretch at the Brier in Regina.
He says with the biggest smile on his face. Tomorrow on the show, we're going to be talking about International Women's Day.
For sure.
Joe McCusker is going to be on the show with us
Wonderful.
tomorrow. I'm wondering, do you have a woman that you admire as we head into International Women's
My
Day?
mom, and she's going to be at the rink tomorrow, and it's my dad's birthday tomorrow, so everything's happening, but my mom is going to be here. I think my sister might make the trip down with my 3 nieces as well. I'm trying to recruit them to be the next great Saskatchewan rink. I'll also have a story about the lack of female coaches in curling, so a lot of coverage linked to International Women's Day, no doubt. And to all the women out there, thank you.
Devin Heroux, CBC Sports reporter. You will catch him down at the Brier over the next number of days. He will also join me tonight on the CBC Saskatchewan News at 6 live from down at the Brier. If you had thoughts today that you wanted to share but didn't get a chance to, you can always email us after the show, bluesky@cbc.ca. And again, I hope you'll join me tonight at 6. I'll be back here at noon again tomorrow for another edition of Blue Sky. In the meantime, have a lovely day.